Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Geek Authority Show. Commentary, reviews, and opinions. They're all mine, Lorenzo Marchessi, your host. Here is where I talk about different things that I like or dislike in terms of my points of view and how I feel about them. This particular show I got all geared up for. This is the TARDIS. This is the TARDIS. What does that mean? I'm going to talk about Doctor Who, an amazing British television show that was. It premiered in 1963. Yes, and it has ran for a very, very long time. Yes, there was a hiatus, and then a made-for-TV movie, and then another hiatus, and then was rebooted in the year 2005 by an amazing set of producers who launched the character into dimensions it never seen before. Wonderful story writing, performances, special effects, everything. It used to be criticized because of its basically walls that would wobble because they're made of that plywood, that cheap plywood, or sets and props that would move. But it wasn't that kept people coming back to it. It was designed as a kids show, yes, but it was a sci-fi series based in basically real science with the science fiction part added to it. And it was intriguingly interesting stories and characters and adventures that the Doctor would go on over the years that kept that show alive and interesting. In fact, the reboot in 2005, just the viewership numbers have just shot through the roof compared to the original series, which aired again in 1963. So what I want to do is take you on a little trip of Doctor Who and why I like it and give you a little bit of tidbits as we go through it. And first off, I want to start with this image, which is the various logos. Each of the new Doctors, when they regenerate, get a new logo for the show. They're kind of mixed up. They're not in any kind of order here, but just kind of wanted to give you the contrast of the various designs and looks that they gave the show, just to rebrand it, but still let you know it's Doctor Who. Here are the various logos that were used in Doctor Who. They're in no particular order per se, but just wanted to give you an idea of the contrasting styles and stuff. Definitely giving you a concept of new personality, new flair to the new Doctor who took over the role, or the new actor who took over the role, but also giving you a distinct familiarity of the fact that this is Doctor Who. Okay, here we have the Doctor Who various logos, basically in the order that you saw them. The first Doctor starts on the upper left, and then as you go across, second Doctor, third Doctor, fourth Doctor, fifth Doctor, sixth Doctor, seventh, eighth Doctor, which the eighth Doctor is actually a made-for-TV movie. The ninth Doctor and the 10th Doctor pretty much share the same logo. Then the 11th, the 12th, and finally our current Doctor, 13th or the 14th actor to play the role. So I just want to give you an idea. It's been around for a very long time, over 50 years. And it changes. Obviously the technology changes, the graphics change, the ability to do animation changes. So it's getting better in terms of its look and style. That's the TARDIS, which is what I was wearing. I showed you my t-shirt and my hat. It stands for Time and Relative Dimensions in Space. Basically, in a nutshell, literally, it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. It's a typical police box, which they used to have in the 40s, 50s, and I think up until early 60s, where basically if you had an issue, it was a phone, you go in there, make a phone call, you got a problem, so on and so forth. You can, I've been told you can lock prisoners in there, but I don't know that part of it. But anyway, there's a phone if you need help kind of situation. And how it happened, the first Doctor basically stole a TARDIS, a time and relative dimensions in space machine, and then basically took off with it. Now, for some reason, the chameleon circuit, chameleon being they changed to their backgrounds, the actual lizard-like creature. The chameleon circuit of this machine, this TARDIS, broke, and it broke on this police box in one of the first Doctor's landings. He made a couple attempts to fix it, I believe, one of the Doctors. But all in all, he's a traditionalist and loves his blue box, as he often refers to it. And it's pretty much become an icon for us fans who watch the show on a regular basis. The blue box, the TARDIS. It too has evolved over the years. Obviously, budgets and money are an issue, and they sometimes want to just set it off for different doctors. And you can see, starting in 1963, 1976, 1980, they got bigger, they got bluer, they got less bluer, they got shinier. By 2005, and then 2020, they gave the box different unique either signatures in terms of the light on top, the basic size of the box, or the color of the blue. Always stayed blue, but you can pretty much, when you look at a police box or a TARDIS anywhere, you can tell which era that TARDIS came from. So that's pretty cool. The Doctor's favorite tool of choice is what they call a sonic screwdriver. Now, it doesn't just screw in screws. It's one of those magic wands. I call it a magic wand because it does everything. Opens doors, closes doors, reprograms computers, reprograms robots, makes coffee. No, just kidding. It does all kinds of fun stuff. And that's the evolution of the sonic screwdriver over time. They used to just make sound. The first four there, the silver there, only made sound, but then they introduced in 2005, they do lights, they change shape, color. Very cool, very cool. All right, now this is a little history. I want to get my picture off so you can see. There you go. These are the current doctors that have existed since 1963. Hopefully I'll get them all right. Starting at the upper left, you have William Hartnell. Now, here's how the story began. Verity Lambert, who was the actual producer of the show, very first female producer in the BBC to take over this kids show. It was supposed to be a kids show, but over time it got so much popularity that they couldn't believe that it's not just a kids show. It became one of BBC One's primary shows that people watch in Britain. Anyway, William Hartnell took the role in the beginning, kind of reluctant. Played it as a curmudgeon, kind of grouchy old man with his granddaughter. But what happened is William Hartnell got sick, or was getting sicker, and he actually had to end up giving the role up because of his health, which Verity Lambert, went into a tizzy, and BBC was going into a tizzy because here's one of their #1 shows on television, and their lead actor is going to leave or has to leave because of his illness. So I don't know if it was Verity or somebody at the execs said, you know what, he's an alien character to begin with. He's from Gallifrey, his home planet. Why not make it that this species, when their time is up, so to speak, they regenerate into a totally new person, i.e. new actor. Now, the advantage of that is, number one, it can perpetuate the character forever. So either when the producers don't want the actor anymore, or the actor's tired of the role, or in his case, the actor gets sick, they can recast and keep the show, keep the character, everything going. So that was brilliant at that point. The other thing is it allows the character to change personality, which makes it fresh for every regeneration, meaning the actor and the writing will bring forth a new persona of the Doctor, which again makes the stories and watching far more interesting. So William Hartnell had to leave, and they hired Patrick Troughton. Now they call Patrick Troughton, who's the second Doctor there, the clown, because basically he had that Moe, Larry, curly haircut there. He played it very funny, played up the humor. He had a flute to play with as kind of his prop, and ran with the role in terms of the comedy, but keeping the drama and the seriousness of all the dangers that the Doctor faces himself. He had to leave the role, or decided his contract was up, whichever, and John Pertwee, the third Doctor, took over. John was more like he was very much a technical guy. He liked gadgets and things like that. He had a car. He had a flying car as the Doctor, as well as Bessie, regular Model T car that he drove, as well as the TARDIS. His particular character was locked on Earth because of the punishment from Gallifrey. So that's where he came into all these vehicles. But he played it like James Bond. He looked like James Bond, velour suits and the ruffled collars, as you can see, and cuffs and whatnot. Very, very unique and fun to watch. He's actually probably my second favorite of the classic Doctors. Next came Tom Baker, When John was done, he regenerated into Tom Baker. He's the fourth Doctor there, the curly hair. He's noted for a couple things. The scarf. He's wild and crazy, literally, kind of wild, bug-eyed, and with his character, and a lot of fun. He's had many companions. Plus, Tom Baker had it the longest. He's the one who had it for 8 years. Most of the actors have had it for 3. That seems to be the run for every Doctor thereof, and even now, but with the exception of one. But he held the role the longest. The reason he left is, I believe the story goes, he was getting tired of it. Everything was getting old, and he couldn't find the freshness to it. And I believe he was the most difficult to work with. Thereby, Jonathan Nathan Turner, the producer at the time, decided it's time to do the regeneration. In which case, my favorite Doctor, and the reason he's my favorite, is because he's the first one I watched back in Chicago when I was a kid. It's Peter Davison. He played the 5th Doctor. He's got the cricket suit with the yellow and the white and the collar there with the celery on his lapel. Very young. He was the youngest at that time of the Doctors to be cast, and he did a lot with his companion. I think he's the one with the most companions, and I think it got to the point where it's too many companions, story-wise. But I loved his character. I loved his energy. He brought the youth. He brought the curiousness and the I'm going to try it. Don't tell me not to do it because I want to try it first kind of attitude. I loved what he did with it. So he's my first and foremost favorite Doctor, especially of the first generation of it. And then his contract was up, and he regenerated into Colin Baker. Now, Colin is the one who dressed, although Patrick Troughton was acting like the clown, so to speak. Colin Baker dressed like the clown. His outfit was outrageously outrageous. A lot of people liked it because of its diversity and wild and craziness, but others were like, okay, turn down the TV because it's a little loud. Now, his character, he played a little curmudgeonly, kind of like the first Doctor, but in a mean way. A lot of his first episodes, he was kind of mean, especially to Perry, who was a carryover companion from my Doctor. Then he had some issues with Jonathan Nathan Turner. He had a shorter run, I believe, a 2.5 season, maybe that. And he regenerated into another wonderful performer, Sylvester McCoy. Sylvester McCoy is the 7th Doctor, and my gosh, he was bright and fun and energetic and had a lot of insightfulness to his curiousness of the things that were around him. Sharp talking, very witty, wonderful, charming Doctor that you'll probably see in terms of his personality. And then something bad happened. The BBC, for whatever reason, I believe it was the ratings as well as the income and advertising for the show went down. So they decided to end the show. Jonathan Nathan Turner couldn't hold it anymore, and pretty much it went off the air. In the early, I believe it was late 80s, almost 90s. And then in 1996, the BBC got together with an American production company and decided to say, let's bring this back, but as a made-for-TV movie, this British icon, but bring it back and introduce it as a new character in America, kind of a co-American production kind of thing. Now, let me tell you that the Doctor Who series was the BBC forefront. America found out about it because of PBS, Public Broadcasting System, aired the original episodes in various cities on public television. And that's where America discovered it. That's where I discovered it, was on PBS. We never got to see the first runs up until after the made-for-TV movie, because it was just one of those shows that went into syndication worldwide and finally picked up an American audience, which is how I found it, and a lot of people found it, and it became such a phenomenon. So that by time the movie of the week came on, which we were all excited to see, it was their version of can we reboot this? Will it work? And Paul McGann took on the role. What was nice is they let Sylvester McCoy regenerate into Paul McGann in the movie of the week. So it kind of gave the feel for the fans that, yes, this is part of the Doctor Who canon, and we're kind of passing the baton, and Sylvester McCoy was passing the baton to Paul McGann. And he did a really great job. His His doctor was curious and always questioning in terms of the environment he was in, trying to learn, because a lot of times the doctors will be disorientated when they regenerate, and it causes issues with the companions, the people they meet, and sometimes mostly for humor, but really good in letting you know that the doctor, when he regenerates, is processing that all his other personas into whoever he is now. So then that was 1996, the one movie that was made, and then nothing. BBC America did nothing in terms of Doctor Who. Finally, in 2005, a couple producers got together to produce a new, updated version of Doctor Who for the BBC, specifically to revitalize the franchise worldwide. This time it's not only going to be seen in Britain and then in syndication in America and only on PBS. This time it's going to be worldwide distribution. And as a result, in 2005, 9 years later, they introduced Christopher Eccleston, who did only one season. He was the exception I talked about earlier as the Doctor. Had a great companion. Great companions. He had a couple. He had the one companion for his season, Billy. So what his character brought to it, and I'm jumping, by the way, Paul McGann is the one on the bottom left, and I'm jumping to Christopher Eccleston. Christopher Eccleston is the ninth Doctor, technically. I'll get to John Hurt, who since passed away in a little bit. So we're jumping from the bottom pictures row. Paul McGann jumping over John Hurt to Christopher Eccleston, who is the ninth Doctor. His Doctor was amazing. He was fantastic. And that's his quote. Introduced us to some old aliens and some new aliens. The dynamic of this Doctor was energy and enthusiasm and excitement for all he did. So it brought a lot of freshness to it. Then, for obvious reasons behind the scenes of disgruntledness, to the new showrunner Russell T Davies, who took over the show and relaunched it, and revitalized it, and made it awesome. He had problems with the behind the scenes, so he bowed out. And of course, Russell T Davies, as the showrunner producer, was in a panic, and they got this wonderful actor who's done a lot of work prior to Doctor Who, but probably will always be known for Doctor Who from this point forward, or this, when he did it in 2006, was David Tennant. David Tennant took over the role. He did 3 seasons, and then a 4th season where he did movies of the week, like 4 different movies of the week, as opposed to a full 10 to 13 episode run on the series. David Tennant is by far the most popular, probably, of the new Doctors, the new generations. I can't tell you how wonderful of an actor he is. I mean, if you watch even all his other work he's done outside of Doctor Who, especially Good Omens is a really good BBC series that he took over where he plays the devil. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. Shakespeare, you name it. But his Doctor was energy, was humor, was excitement, was knowledgeable, was informative, was witty, was adaptable. Very exciting character. And then, of course, after encouraging him to do the movies of the week for his 4th season run, he decided to stop, and they had to get a new actor. And they got, at this point, Peter Davison, my favorite Doctor, number 5, was the youngest actor. Then they hired Matt Smith. Matt Smith now became the youngest performer to be the Doctor. And let me tell you, everyone was nervous about David Tennant leaving and this regeneration. Will it work? Will we like the show anymore? Because David was so good. And sure enough, Matt made it his own. Matt's Doctor is all about excitement and energy, and I'm probably sounding like I'm saying the same thing about all the Doctors, but each performer gives his own kind of stamp on it, and I can't stress enough the humor that all of them bring, and the sincerity and the heart, and in Matt's case, the extreme talent. There's one point where he plays a good version of himself and a bad version, and watching him doing it on screen, into the same actor on the same screen, clicking these characters on and off is just incredible. Bravo to him. And then Matt had his time. So we go on to the next regeneration, which is Peter Capaldi. You know him from a lot of feature films. He became a different kind of doctor. He was more, scientific and factual and realistic in terms of what he brought to the table for his enemies and problem solving and whatnot, and all his companions. And by the way, every doctor has companions. Some have multiple companions throughout their run. Some have the same companion throughout their run, but all other actors kind of, the actors that play him are basically the audience. They ask the questions and do some exposition for the audience in terms of what's going on and what the situation is, so the doctor can solve the problem and move forward the stories with each adventure. And Peter Capaldi's was amazing. He's got one story where he does the same thing, 2 million times over because of a time loop, and the way he performs it and each version it's amazing, the talented people they find. Then it was his turn. He did his 3 years, and it was time to regenerate again. And at that time, through Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, it was a different showrunner, because Russell T Davies bowed out when David Tennant did. And then Stephen Moffat took over for Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi. Well, it was time for Stephen Moffat, the showrunner, to leave, and they brought in Chris Chernobyl, I want to say is his name, and he decided to take the Doctor to a level that it's never been before. If you notice, all the Doctors have been men. Okay, as you can see clearly in this picture. Well, Chris said, you know what? We've seen it before in Matt Smith's episodes where some Time Lords regenerated into a female, and in Peter Capaldi's as well. So then he said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's have the Doctor regenerate into a woman. And Jodi Whitaker happily took over the role, and she does an amazing job. Really fun and energetic, and her acting is really, really good. Now, her stories for her Doctor, not necessarily the sharpest and the best I've seen compared to her predecessors and their writing. I think Chris is taking it to a different level, and I'll get to a little bit of that later. Now, I'm going to jump back to John Hurt, which is that second picture from the bottom on the left. John Hurt was introduced as the War Doctor. He's in between Paul McGann and Christopher Eccleston, and we don't learn about John Hurt until the 50th anniversary episode, 50 years, if you heard me right, of Matt Smith, where Matt Smith got the honor of being the Doctor during the 50th year anniversary episode, and they introduced the War Doctor. So what they did is they brought David Tennant and John Hurt into Matt Smith's episode and story, and it was pretty darn incredible. All right, let me move this picture up here and move forward. Now, you ask, what is regeneration? Well, I just wanted to show you what it looks like. In the modern day, this is what they do. This is David Tennant regenerating into Matt Smith. And as you can see, the hands light up, the heads light up, and then of course there's the transformation. In the old days, it was dissolves and little crossovers in terms of the action of one actor taking over for another. So just wanted to give you a look at that. Now I'm going to go real quick since I've talked about the Doctors. This is William Hartnell. You can see his grandchild and the two teachers that went along with him on his adventures. Very unique Doctor. The curmudgeon, they kind of call him. This was an episode of, I believe, John Pertwee's series called The Three Doctors. What they did is they brought back William Hartnell, who at the time was better, and then Patrick Troughton to do an episode where it involves the Three Doctors. Then we come into the fourth Doctor, which is Tom Baker, and that's Sarah Jane Smith, one of the favorite companions of his, and probably a lot of fans' companions in terms of being the best one. Wonderful performances by both. There's my Doctor. That's the Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart on the Doctor's left, our right, and Turlough, one of the companions of the Doctor in the later seasons. Excuse me. Not a big fan of Turlough. Definitely love the Brigadier. Brigadier, he shows up even in the modern series. They kind of give a nod to him the actor who played him in the modern series, which is really, really touching. His granddaughter ends up being part of a unit, the police force that actually investigates alien life forms in the Doctor Who series. There's Tegan and again Turlough, wonderful, wonderful performers, and Peter Davison is the Doctor. This was an episode, the 25th anniversary. I want to make sure I got it right. The 25th anniversary of Doctor Who was an episode called The Five Doctors. Now, they got an actor to play William Hartnell, other than William Hartnell because he had passed away. And then Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee came back. And it looks like the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker's there, but that's actually Madame Trousseau's wax figure they brought in for some publicity for the show because Mr. Baker did not want to do the show because he felt his part as the fourth Doctor wasn't prominent enough to do it. So that was in the days of, well, let's not get into it. And then, of course, it was Peter Davison's episode, The Five Doctors. So the story revolved around his character getting involved with Gallifrey and then having to involve his other past regenerations. There's Sylvester McCoy. Like I said, a wonderful actor. He's so wonderful to meet in person. Such a nice guy, very funny, loves to make people laugh, and literally goes out of his way to do it. And I tell you, I liked his Doctor a lot. There wasn't a lot of him because I think it was his season that got cut short too because of the cancellation, but that's that. There's Paul McGann. He played the Movie of the Week in 1996 with Daphne, who plays his companion in this. I loved his old TARDIS console. It's unique to him. He's the only one that has it. The console, by the way, is the control panel for each Doctor to move around in time and space. This is also the made-for-TV movie where I mentioned before where Sylvester McCoy is passing the baton on to Paul McGann to be the eighth Doctor. Here we go with the ninth Doctor. What a wonderful choice. Christopher Eccleston did a great job. Although he had problems, behind the scenes, it's too bad that happened. He would have loved to see a second and third season of him and what he did with it. He has now since come around. He's actually doing conventions and talking to fans and appreciating his one season on Doctor Who. That's always nice to hear when an actor, moves on from having a bit of an ego to being human again. Here is David Tennant. He became the 10th Doctor and his companion with her mother. Wonderful, wonderful season. Wonderful, wonderful characters. All character-driven, all story-driven. This is the Russell T Davies era, so the writing was simply amazing. There's an episode of his called Blink, which has become renowned among the fans and outside of people who want to watch good television, where Stephen Moffat, who becomes the producer, showrunner later, wrote an episode where basically a creature attacks you every time you blink. So you can't blink. Because every time you blink, they get closer, closer, closer. They get scarier. It's an amazing episode. And of course, David Tennant is amazing in it. Here's Matt Smith with his companions. Karen Gillan, you recognize her as Nebula from the Avengers movie series. So she went on to bigger and better things. Matt Smith has been in the Terminator movies and so on and so forth. But this is a great, great episode of dinosaurs on a spaceship. Who knew? And Matt Smith just eats up the furniture when it comes to unique and different things that haven't been done before. So again, another wonderful job. Okay, this is the Matt Smith run. He's the main Doctor, but this is the 50th anniversary episode. And of course, they invite David Tennant back. And John Hurt comes to join the fun as being a Doctor. He was the War Doctor in between Paul McGann and Christopher Eccleston, to put it in context. So it was a wonderfully written episode. Even Tom Baker, they talked back into doing a tiny little role at the end, playing the curator. Who knows who the curator is? Wonderful episode, very fun, good story, and of course you can't go wrong when you got John Hurt, Academy Award winning actor, for the Elephant Man, by the way, if you didn't know that. Also, one of his key roles is, if you watch the original Alien movie with Sigourney Weaver, he's the first one the chest alien comes out of. So he's the first one to be chest bursted, I guess. Cool. He's passed away, so we do miss him, his talents. Nice guy, too. I got to meet him at one of the Gallifreys. Next up is Peter Capaldi. And I tell you, his adventures were dynamic and well thought out in terms of some of the stories and what they did with them. And again, his companions were except for I forget his name, the bald-headed guy. He was brought in for comic relief, I think, but he didn't really add too much. But everyone else did in terms of Capaldi's run. There's Peter Capaldi. They did an episode where the first Doctor meets the current Doctor. In this case, was the 13th, 12th regeneration, 13th Doctor. I don't know. I get confused now what they're doing with the canon. But they had another actor who did a really good job in terms of playing the first Doctor against the 13th Doctor, or whatever he is, story-wise. I will give you a little insight. They did a docudrama, so to speak, of Doctor Who on how its origins began, and behind the scenes, they talk about the original producers and writers and how she had a tough time doing it. And this is the actor that gets to play William Hartnell as well. So he plays William Hartnell as the actor in the drama about putting together the original Doctor Who. So they brought him back for Peter Capaldi's episode, and he does a great job of being what once was William Hartnell. And now we have our current Doctor, who I believe is running her last season in 2021. Be her last season, and then she'll regenerate. Rumor has it. We'll see what happens because of the pandemic. But she has some interesting companions. I really love her female companion and the older guy there, the father. I tell you, it's just the dynamics that they've done with it. Again, her stories are somewhat weak to me, especially the first season. They got better in the second. But her as a doctor, I like her energy. I like her enthusiasm. She's got to get everywhere quickly and learn it quickly and make sure it's the right choice quickly. And it's her energy is infectious when you watch it. And there she is. This was one of the introductory promotional photos they did. The TARDIS in the back and her outfit. Every character, like I told you before, has a unique look. And I love her rainbow, the straps, the pantaloons, or whatever they're called, the pants that don't go all the way down, and her jacket. A lot of people cosplay her now, so it's really fun to watch. Another kind of a shot of the current Doctor in action. Love her hairstyle. Really good actress, too. She's worked with David Tennant before on Broadchurch, the detective TV series, so they knew each other in the Doctor Who realm, so to speak. Now, as far as canon and Chris Chernobyl, or whatever his name is, running the show now, they did something that I think I've got to talk about, the canon of Doctor Who. They introduced Jo Martin as the 14th Doctor. Now, it's a little confusing because apparently she's the chosen child or something like that, where all Galifrians got their regenerative powers from. Now, I don't mind the twist in the story issue, but it kind of was really good that the Doctor, his race was regenerative, if I can say that right, to the point where you can introduce aliens and Galifrian monsters and villains that whatever. But the idea of a race that can regenerate, and you can see the same character, another character they did regenerate many times on the reboot and whatnot, and in the original series, was the Master. The Master's the arch enemy of the Doctor, who actually they went to school together and then they went off their separate ways, and the Master ends up hating the Doctor, and over 54 years now he's been trying to kill the Doctor for forever. I love that concept, but now they introduce that maybe, I don't know. I don't want to get too negative on it, but I need to see if they even pick it up anymore or if it's just this one-time thing. But they kind of messed up the canon with the canon of the whole the regenerative powers coming from one child in one situation and whatnot. So the actress did a great job. I mean, I love the whole fact that she was confused about the doctor and the doctor was confused about the doctor, like the audience. So, but it just didn't sit well with me. So let's see where they take it. Every doctor has a sonic screwdriver. The other picture didn't show the current doctor, Jodi Whitaker. There's her sonic screwdriver. She made it herself on Earth with machine parts. So it kind of looks homemade and definitely metallic, fingery. I got to talk about this. One of the things they did on the show was a little mini episode. They used to do these a lot in the Russell T Davies and some of the Stephen Moffat era, producer-wise, where and there's another story here where the fifth Doctor meets the 10th Doctor. Five doctors from each other in terms of regenerations. But I want to give you a little insight. What's funny is David Tennant in an episode called The Doctor's Daughter, and the actress that was playing it, Miss Moffat, she kind of met David Tennant, and they were just two actors doing their job. But they actually fell for each other in terms of off the set and romantically. And what's interesting is that actress, Miss Moffat, is the surname of Peter Davidson's real name, because a lot of actors change their name. He was really Peter Moffat, and he had a daughter named Miss Moffat. I can't remember her first name. So what I'm saying is David Tennant met his future wife doing a show called The Doctor's Daughter. So she was playing the Doctor's daughter, but he ends up falling in love with her and marrying David Tennant, who happens to be the daughter of the fifth Doctor, which you're looking at here. So the daughter of the fifth Doctor marries the star of the 10th Doctor. I hope I'm saying this right. Anyway, it's kind of ironic and pretty fun, but this was a little smash up called Time Crash, where the timelines meet and Peter Davison meets David Tennant on David Tennant's TARDIS in some sort of time mess up, and they have a great scene of dialogue talking about age and who are you, and it's wonderful, wonderful. It was such a big deal that they did a whole big promotional thing on the fact that here's these iconic original classic Doctor meeting the current Doctors, who David Tennant was, hotter than pancakes at the time. So it was great to watch, and this cover kind of explains it. And then, of course, there's the marketing and the toys. In the original series, there wasn't a lot. There was some good Doctor Who toys produced, in the 70s and the 80s and so on and so forth. But it wasn't until 2005 where the licensing and the merchandising just boomed for Doctor Who, and it was exciting. And this particular one, there's the Master with my favorite Doctor. It's a great little set to have, and of course I have it. Now, let me zoom this picture up a little bit. And what we have here is, in an effort to deal with the 50th anniversary and any kind of anniversary, the three of the original classic Doctors got together, and Peter Davison, the one on the far right, my Doctor, wrote this piece, directed it, and I think he even edited and put it together, whereby the fifth, sixth, and seventh Doctor are kind of not too happy that they're not in the anniversary issue. And it's a great little short. You can watch it on YouTube. But it was a fun little piece. And that's what I have there for my enthusiasm for Doctor Who. Just a couple little tidbits before we sign off. The show was actually created by Sidney Newman, C.E. Weber, and Donald Wilson. It stars many of the actors which I just told you and talked about. As of now, there are 861 stories. 97 of them are missing, meaning back in the day they didn't save tapes, videotape or things like that of episodes. So there are amazingly stories out there that were produced by the various Doctors of the classic series, mainly Hartnell's and Troughton's, that are missing or lost, so to speak. 1963 to 1989 was the series run, and then it stopped until 1996 for the main for TV movie, and then 2005 to present is when it continued on. Generally, the episodes have lasted 25 minutes in the classic series, broken up over a story, to 45 minutes to 50 minutes each. Produced, of course, by the BBC. Um, Original networks from 63 to present, BBC One. Now they have BBC HD, which premiered in 2009. And then there's BBC One HD, which premiered in 2010. So you can find Doctor Who on all those. Syndicated, of course, out here to BBC America, which is our network for the BBC shows here in America via satellite, I believe. It's in all formats, PAL, NTSC, all over the world. The originals were mono, meaning not dual channeled or anything like that. And that was from 63 to 87. After 1987, forward, they are all stereo productions. So they have multi-channel, kind of versions of themselves. And again, if you've never seen Doctor Who, I suggest you start with the classics if you can, the William Hartnell, work your way forward to the new stuff. But if you really want to be a modern baby, as I call it, you can start with Christopher Eccleston, which is 2005, and move forward. And I'm sure you'll get into it. Hopefully, you'll be so excited that you'll want to watch the older classic Doctors and get into the show like I did. I was introduced to Doctor 5, which made me go back and watch 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I like all of them. I have my favorites, of course. They say your first Doctor you see is usually your favorite. So if you start at the beginning, it depends on where you want to start. But I suggest from the beginning if you have the time and the resources, because I believe they're streaming in a lot of places now, so you can find them. But anyway, those are basically my commentaries, reviews, and opinions about the series called Doctor Who. I've loved the show forever. I remember watching it in grade school and then going through high school, and now it's currently on and getting stronger. Hopefully it'll continue. We'll see. It depends on ratings and whether or not people watch it. But anyway, thank you for watching. My name is Lorenzo Marchessi. Real quick, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I hope you subscribe. Ring the little bell, click that bell. It'll let you know when I drop new videos. That way you can watch them when you want, because you'll get an email for it. Check out my other shows, The Geek Authority Show, where I interview actors, writers, directors, producers, cosplayers, all kinds of fun people. You're actually going to learn stuff about different things. You may have questions about wanting to get into writing or directing. It's a great show to watch with different people. I also have Unboxing the Geek Authority, which is a show where I actually open up things for the first time, and you see it and I see it for the first time, and my reactions are really genuine. I get excited about a lot of stuff, as well as my Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles, which is a show where I pull out all the stuff that I've been collecting over the years and kind of show you what has been out there, either in the past or currently in the present, which is always fun. And then I have my Talk About show, where I get together with family and friends. We just talk about different subjects. One of my favorite shows is a 3-part series on the closing and the being closed Disneyland and California Adventure. Very emotional, very well done, and I think you'll enjoy that a lot. As well as we talk about Cobra Kai, a new series, and old series like Space 1999. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Hopefully you'll watch Doctor Who and check out my other episodes. Don't forget to subscribe. That's very important, and it'll mean a lot to me. So thank you if you do, and thank you for watching. And of course, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.